Welcome to Speaking History. In today's episode, we're delving into a fascinating tale that begins in the final days of August 1939, right before Europe plunged into the chaos of World War II. Amidst the shadow of the Swabian Alps, a discovery was made that would lie hidden for decades, a forgotten artifact that reveals the extraordinary creativity and spirituality of our earliest ancestors. Join us as we unravel the story of this astonishing find, the dark Nazi agenda entwined with its history and the legacy it left behind. In the final days of August 1939, as Europe edged closer to the abyss of war, a discovery was made in the shadow of the Swabian Alps that would lie hidden for decades. Otto Welsing, a German archaeologist, carefully extracted fragments of mammoth tusk from the dried silt at the back of a cave. Unaware of their true significance, he placed the fragments in a humble cigar box, a moment overshadowed by the dark tide of history. The excavation was led by Robert Wetzel, a 41-year-old paleontologist and university professor whose loyalty to the Nazi regime ran deep. Wetzel had joined Hitler's NSDAP in 1933 and was a prominent figure in the Ahnenerbe, a sinister SS unit established by Heinrich Himmler. This organization was tasked with fabricating a pseudo-historical narrative to support the Nazi ideology of Aryan supremacy. The Nazi leadership, particularly Himmler, harbored delusions of Germany being the cradle of human civilization. These ideas were fueled by charlatans like Karl Maria Wielegut, a disgraced Austrian occultist, and Hermann Wirth, a Dutch prehistorian infamous for using forgeries to back his outlandish claims. Wielegut, for instance, insisted that biblical events had unfolded in Germany and that Jesus Christ was an Aryan deity. Despite their widely discredited theories, these men found favor with Himmler and received generous funding to conduct their so-called research. Under the banner of the Ahnenerbe, expeditions spanned from Scandinavia to Tibet in search of evidence for these baseless myths. The organization's methods were anything but scientific. Artifacts were misattributed, findings distorted, and when no evidence could be found, it was simply fabricated. A prime example was the Chiemsee cauldron, a 10-kilogram gold vessel adorned with Celtic imagery. Commissioned by the SS, it was intended to be presented as an ancient Aryan artifact. However, it was nothing more than an elaborate forgery, later discovered in a Bavarian lake in 2001, sparking debates and fraud trials. The idea of an Aryan super race, central to Nazi ideology, had no scientific basis. Originating in the 19th century, it was a misinterpretation of linguistic studies by German philologist Max Müller, later distorted by imperialist ideologies and eventually weaponized by the Nazis. Despite its absurdity, this pseudoscience was used to justify atrocities on an unimaginable scale. One of the Ahnenerbe's most notorious projects involved the Externstein, a sandstone formation in the Teutoburg forest. With scant evidence, it was declared an ancient Aryan observatory. Wilhelm Teut, an eccentric lay preacher, led the project, his dubious theories rewarded with a professorship by Hitler himself. This blend of myth and madness inspired fictional works like Indiana Jones. But the true story was far more harrowing. Himmler's obsession with rewriting history cost countless lives, with enslaved laborers perishing in horrific conditions to build his personal Camelot at Wewelsburg Castle. Amid this chaos, the cigar box containing Welsing's find languished in obscurity. The caves of the Lonatal Valley were already known for yielding remarkable Ice Age artifacts, including intricate figurines of animals. Yet, on that fateful day, as the specter of war loomed just a week away, the significance of the mammoth fragments went unnoticed. For the next 30 years, they remained untouched, a silent testament to a dark chapter in history. Wetzel and Welsing managed to survive the chaos of war, but their association with the SS shadowed the remainder of their lives. For decades, As both struggled to rebuild, they remained oblivious to the incredible discovery they had unknowingly stumbled upon, a discovery that lay forgotten in a cigar box at the back of Wetzel's home. When Wetzel passed away in 1962, his collection was donated to the Ulm Museum. It wasn't until 1969 that Joachim Hahn, a West German prehistorian, opened that very box and unearthed the extraordinary artifact. The fragments, which had long been overlooked, belonged to a figurine now known as the Löwenmensch, or Lion Man. This object wasn't just another relic. It was an astonishing piece of symbolic art from the Upper Paleolithic era, crafted around 40,000 years ago by a group of early humans known as the Aurignacians. To put this into perspective, the figurine was already ancient, about 23,000 years old, when the last mammoths roamed the earth. Carved from mammoth ivory, the Lion Man took over 400 painstaking hours to complete, an extraordinary investment for a creation with no apparent practical use. Its surface is smooth, evidence of thousands of hands passing it down through generations. This wasn't just an object, it was a legacy, suggesting that its significance endured long after its maker was gone. Although scholars debate its exact purpose, the prevailing theory is that the Lion Man was a ritualistic symbol, or an avatar, possibly used in tribal ceremonies or storytelling. Such artifacts shed light on the deep, introspective nature of our early ancestors. Far from being the stereotypical cave dwellers of popular media, these humans pondered profound questions about their existence. Questions like, who are we? And what is our place in this vast world? This glimpse into their lives reveals a common thread linking them to their modern descendants: the need to find meaning in chaos. These were people grappling with the randomness of life, using art, stories, and perhaps even religion to impose order. The Lion Man stands as a testament to humanity's creativity and imagination. In times of uncertainty, early humans invented gods, spirits, and myths to explain the unexplainable. Superstitions like touching wood for luck may trace back to rituals where trees were believed to house protective spirits. The Lion Man, carved with meticulous care, represents not only artistic ingenuity, but also the dawn of human spirituality and storytelling. This connection between art and myth carried forward into more advanced civilizations. Stories that began as oral traditions were embellished over generations. For example, the legendary Trojan War of the Bronze Age, while rooted in some historical truth, was transformed into epic narratives like Homer's Iliad and Odyssey. These works became foundational to Western literature, blending history, entertainment, and morality. By the time Herodotus, dubbed the father of history, appeared in the 5th century BCE, attempts were already being made to distinguish fact from fiction. Yet, the allure of a good story often blurred the lines, and history itself became intertwined with myth. The Lion Man, however, predates these literary achievements by tens of thousands of years, serving as a reminder of where humanity's journey began. It marks the point where creativity met curiosity and survival met self-expression. It's not just a relic, but a profound symbol of the first sparks of civilization. The Greek word histories, meaning inquiry, became synonymous with historical study thanks to Herodotus. By titling his work Histories, he not only named his creation, but also coined a term that would endure through the ages. This monumental work, divided into 9 books by later scholars, chronicles 150 years of events leading to the Greco-Persian War and the Persian defeat at the Battle of Plataea in 479 BCE, just a decade before Herodotus was born. While it stands as a cornerstone of early Athenian literature and scholarship, its content transcends mere historical documentation. It ventures into travelogues, gossip, myths, and even culinary insights, interspersed with tales of vengeance and intrigue. One such anecdote is found in Book 1, section 133, where Herodotus describes an unusual Persian custom of decision-making. They deliberate on the gravest matters while drunk and reconsider them the next day while sober. If the decision remains sound, they proceed. If not, they abandon it. This concept of drunken democracy might sound outlandish, but isn't entirely foreign to modern practices. For instance, France's two-round presidential elections could be likened to this: an initial chaotic drunk round where any candidate may stand, followed by a decisive, sober vote between the top contenders. Yet Herodotus's accounts often veer into the fantastical. His narrative mentions flying snakes, horned serpents, and gold-digging ants in Persia. He describes phoenixes in Egypt, mermaids among the Scythians, and stories of psychedelic rituals involving cannabis during funerals. Some tales, like a singer rescued by a dolphin from pirates or a queen's urine curing a blind king, seem more like folklore than fact. Nevertheless, they highlight his fascination with human nature and cultural peculiarities. Herodotus also had a flair for drama, as evident in the story of King Candaules of Lydia. Obsessed with his wife's beauty, Candaules coerced his bodyguard, Gyges, to spy on her in the nude. When the queen discovered Gyges, she presented him with two choices: death or betrayal. Gyges chose the latter, assassinating Candaules and taking the throne. The gods, however, avenged this act generations later by orchestrating the fall of Gyges' descendant, Croesus. Criticism of Herodotus has been widespread. His contemporary Aristophanes mocked him, and centuries later Plutarch dubbed him the father of lies. Many dismissed his accounts as gullible or biased toward the Persians. However, Herodotus himself acknowledged skepticism, writing, "I am under no obligation to be persuaded. These are the things that I have been told." Modern archaeology has vindicated some of his more dubious claims. For instance, in 1984, French ethnologist Michel Paisel discovered marmots in the Dansar Plain, modern Pakistan, that dig up gold, a possible basis for Herodotus's gold-digging ants. Similarly, his description of unusual Nile boats, once deemed fantastical, was confirmed in 2019 when archaeologists found a ship matching his account in the submerged port of Thonis Heraklion. Herodotus's narrative approach contrasted sharply with that of Thucydides, his near contemporary. While Herodotus embraced tall tales and the habits of everyday people, Thucydides pursued truth with relentless objectivity. A veteran of the Peloponnesian War and survivor of the Athenian plague, Thucydides chronicled the conflict with clinical precision, eschewing divine intervention or myths. His work, intended for rulers and intellectuals, established the foundation for evidence-based history and critical political analysis. In modern times, Thucydides' influence endures. From journalists to politicians, his name is often invoked, sometimes inaccurately. For example, the quote, "Peace is but an armistice in an ongoing war," is attributed to him but has no basis in his work. Instead, its origin lies in a misattribution at the West Point Military Academy in 1988. Unlike Herodotus, whose tales captivated the masses, Thucydides wrote for an elite audience. His text, devoid of gods and oracles, focused solely on human agency and pragmatic leadership, cementing his legacy as a historian of unparalleled rigor. This section explores the enduring relevance of Thucydides' historical work and contrasts his rigorous, fact-based approach with the mythological storytelling of Herodotus. While Herodotus entertained with tall tales and cultural anecdotes, Thucydides focused on truth and critical analysis, aiming to educate rulers and leaders through a detached and methodical lens. Thucydides' account of the Peloponnesian War serves as a timeless cautionary tale, illustrating the dangers of hubris, arrogance, and poor leadership. The parallels drawn between historical events like Athens' failed Sicilian expedition and modern political missteps, such as Brexit, highlight how human nature and folly remain constant across centuries. His perspective frames history not as a repetitive cycle, but as a continuous improvisation, reflecting persistent themes of ambition, conflict, and the consequences of leadership decisions. This analytical rigor positions Thucydides as a prototype for modern scholarly critique, offering lessons that remain strikingly pertinent in the context of misinformation and contemporary global politics. His work emphasizes that while the characters and circumstances may change, the patterns of human behavior and mistakes echo timelessly through history. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your feedback in the comments section below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on our latest content. And if you enjoyed this episode, share it with your friends to spread the knowledge. Until next time, keep exploring the past with Speaking History.